Good morning. I'm joined by our Mayor Brandon Scott, our Council President Nick Mosby, State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby. I'm also joined by our lead consent decree monitor Ken Thompson, and of course our lead surgeon here at Shock Trauma, Dr. Scalia. At or around 1:30 a.m., officers from the Southern District received a call of a vehicle crash in the 4400 block of Pennington Street. Upon arrival, the officers learned that it was a police officer's vehicle that had crashed, and they observed that the driver of the vehicle, an officer assigned to the Southern District, was not only injured perhaps from the crash, but had been shot. Officers immediately began to render aid and work to get the officer here to Shock Trauma as fast as possible. What we believe happened is that while the officer was on duty, was not on a call, but was parked in the 4400 block of Pennington Street, and at some point, a would-be shooter apparently walked up somewhere from the rear of the vehicle or alongside of the vehicle and began firing into the vehicle, striking our officer. What we know right now is that the officer either accelerated from a parked position and then crashed somewhere into that block, bringing the car to a resting position. And at that point, the call was made and responding officers found the officer in the vehicle and had been shot. The officer was immediately rushed here to Shock Trauma, where Dr. Scalia and his team have been working really hard to care for our officer, and he will update you on the officer's condition momentarily. But I want to talk about, number one, the cowardly, brazen act of someone walking up and just opening fire on a police officer who is doing what we asked that officer to do, to go out and protect and serve. The mayor and I have had an opportunity to meet with family who are, like us, obviously angry, confused, in search of answers, and have an expectation that we will find who did this and hold one or as many people responsible for this as possible. So I am asking anyone who knows anything, who has heard anything, who saw something, who knows somebody who knows something, to please call police right away. Or you can do it anonymously by calling Crime Stoppers at 1-866-7-LOCK-UP. We know that somebody knows something, and we are working to find who did this, to hold them accountable, while we pray for our officer. And at this time, I will turn it over to our mayor for comments.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. First and foremost, I ask that the entire city of Baltimore pray for our officer, for the officer's family, for the officer's co-workers, and for the community in which this happened. As the commissioner said, this is a cowardly act, and we have a coward on the loose in Baltimore that we must and will find, and that we have to go after someone who was so cowardly that he didn't have the decency, really, to face this officer who's in this neighborhood to protect, who's there because of the issues that's been happening, who's doing the things that so many people are afraid to do, put themselves at risk in order to protect other folks, those who are in their most desperate need. That is what our officer was doing in that neighborhood in South Baltimore. And that's what we all have to be angry about. With all the things that we have going on in our city, the people, the very people who are out there doing what so many are afraid to do, who now you have a family. Imagine that, family members asking how that person are, where that person is, why aren't they there, looking at those family members in the face and having to tell them that information. We have to step up as a city. We're asking anybody that knows anything to tell us, and we don't really give a damn how we get it. Somebody knows. We need the information so that we can get this coward off our streets, so that we can bring peace to this family, peace to that community, so that we can hand them over to the other parts of the criminal justice system, because we will not allow folks to just think that they can take out anybody in our city. and especially when you're talking about people who go out to protect us each and every day. And I think we all have to do a gut check about the kind of people we allow ourselves to be around, people who know. There's somebody who knows right now, and you should look at yourself and think about how you would feel if your family was facing this as we go into the holiday season, and have some decency and say what's needed to be said so that we can get this coward off the streets of Baltimore. And I'm going to now turn it over to our council president, Nick Mosby.
We all stand here extremely angered for the police officer that was involved in this cowardly act, angered for the men and women who stand next to her every single day to risk their lives to keep our city safe, angered for her family. Violence is unacceptable, but when we see violence as it relates to this type of violence, it hits us all. There's been a lot of divisive talk over the past several years around police, around connecting with our community, around violence. But tonight, this is reality. And the reality is men and women do their best job to put on Baltimore Police Department uniforms and go to protect our citizens. And there's no way that the mayor of Baltimore, the police commissioner, the state's attorney, and Dr. Scalia should be standing here tonight. I am angered. We all should be angered. The 600,000 or so members of this city should be angered. We should all take this very personal. That's what we're here for tonight. The mayor has said it. The police commissioner has said it. We must find whoever decided to do this to one of our officers immediately. And it's going to take each and every one of us to do so. I ask the citizens of Baltimore, if you do not have information, to just pray. Pray for this officer. Pray for this officer's family. There's no other word but the word of anger. That's how each and every one of us should feel tonight. Thank you, Mr. At this point, I'll turn it over to Dr. Scalia.
Good morning. At approximately 2:15 this morning, we admitted a police officer with multiple gunshot wounds. The officer is critically ill with life-threatening injuries, on full life support, now in the operating room for life-saving surgery. Very hard to know where we go from here, but prognosis at this point is guarded. I would say we will know more in the hours and days to come. We're certainly doing our best to keep this person both on earth and to recover as best we can.
So once again, we are pleading with everyone, anyone who knows anyone who knows anything, or anyone who knows something, to call us right away or call Crime Stoppers anonymously at 1-866-7-LOCK-UP. This was a very brazen act. We absolutely are going to do everything within our power to find who did this and bring them to justice. We've talked to this family. This family is depending on us to do what we do for this officer, the same way we do it for every victim of a shooting and every victim of homicide. And now we have a family who's praying for their loved one, and we will pray for our officer. I ask you to do the very same. This time we'll take a few questions.
Male or female officer?
We're not identifying that as of yet. We've identified some family, but perhaps not all. We're trying to make sure, out of respect for the family, at their request, we're not identifying the gender of the officer at this time, the name and or gender.
Were they assigned to that area?
They were assigned to that area.
So he was on, he or she was off duty?
The officer was actually on duty in a marked police car.
Was the officer able to radio in what had happened to get help?
We do not know the answer to that. What we believe happened was that the shooter approached from the rear, began firing in the car, which was at a rested position. We know the car left that position, went into the block and crashed and came to a rest. We do not know at this time if the officer had an opportunity or actually radioed in. All we know is that the officer was shot at a rested position, accelerated, and then came to a rest further in the block.
How were officers able to find out that this had happened?
There was a call that came in for a vehicle crash.
Do you know how long the officer was there, injured before the crash, before you guys got there?
We don't have the answer to that. Those are things we're working through the investigation to find out.
What does this say about violence in the city when even a Baltimore City police officer is not safe in the streets?
It says that there are some people who are just committed to violence and are committed to committing and determined to commit very brazen acts. We have to change that. That's why this United Front is here, to change that, and we will. We don't know why people do what they do. It's wrong, it's cowardly, it's brazen, it's wrong on all levels. And as sure as my name is Michael, I am committed to changing that.
Can you comment how many times the officer was struck?
Don't have that information. That's Dr. Sclair or the medical team might know that. What we know is that it's at least 2, but could be more.
Are there any shot spotter cameras in the area that alerted you to a shooting in that area?
All we have right now is that we responded to a crash, and that's the only information we have at the moment. All right? As we get more information about the officer's condition or the status of this investigation, we'll be more than happy to update you and bring you further details. Thank you so much.